Good afternoon. I'm here with my guest, Tim Devin. And Tim has been long involved in the arts in Somerville and even has been involved here at SCAT in some...
I have, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing that we're here to talk about is something after my own heart, is because I've been involved in it for many years, is the small press. And Tim had the good idea of starting a small press collection at the central branch of the Somerville Library. And it's got a lot of titles in there now, including our titles, Ibbotson Street. And my friend Gloria Mindock, who's the Poet Laureate of Somerville, is starting to contribute some. I know she has one of her issues here. Tim, I was going to start. Could you tell us, you have a little history with Somerville Media Center. I mean, maybe you could tell us about that.
Sure, yeah. So as part of my job with the Somerville Public Library, I give classes here in technology once a month with Erica Jones.
Oh.
And I've been lucky enough to be on Doug's show before, so thanks for having me back.
Were you on my show before?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah,
many years ago for a magazine.
Was it like a decade ago or something?
Yeah, something like that.
That's right. Yeah. Now, can you just, we're always interested in the Somerville personality before we get into that. So you have been actively involved in the arts scene. You had all kinds of projects, installations, and things. Could you maybe just give us a...
Sure, yeah. So, longtime Somerville resident. I've done a number of community art projects in Somerville that explore what people's local involvement has been. I did a visioning project a while back, which asked people what they thought the future was going to be like, and then made this like alternate future timeline kind of thing. I also have been running a small press myself called Free the Future Press. And for the past year and a half, I've been working at the Somerville Public Library, which I'm really excited about.
Now, what's your press put out?
Sure. Right now, we're putting out books that I've written.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally plug myself here.
What kind of writer are you?
Sure. So I've been looking at the 1970s area counterculture.
Okay.
So I'm working on a 3-volume history of local Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, Brookline, 1970s counterculture, where organizations were, what they did, what happened to them. I also looked at countercultural child rearing.
Okay.
I'm a dad, so that's something that's kind of close to my heart.
Okay, great.
But yeah.
Now, tell us about, well, I know that Somerville writer, very, very well-established and respected writer, Pagan Kennedy, who I interviewed years ago, not here, but for Arts Magazine. She, was a real zinester back in the 80s in Alston, and how did this all come about? Because she was the one, I think, who spurred this on, didn't she?
Yeah, so we had started looking at starting a small press and zine collection, and I was talking to Pagan about it, and she, like you said, was started out as a pretty well-known zinester. And as it happens, she had boxes and boxes of this stuff in her attic, and she said, "Do you want them?" And I said, "Yeah, sounds good." And so here's one of her works, which is super hard to find. So a lot of her peers, a lot of the original zinesters from the 90s and 80s have donated their work to different university archives. So I thought it was really great that Pagan saw the benefit of keeping it in her community and having people who live in Somerville have access to her stuff. University archives are great, right? They provide long-term preservation, education around the work, but they also have the unintended consequence of like locking things off from the public. And so what we're trying to do is make this stuff readily accessible.
Okay. And what do you define as the small press?
Sure, yeah. Well, right now, it's local small press, so Somerville, what I call Greater Somerville, so Somerville, Boston, Cambridge, Medford. Small press is mostly self-published stuff or poetry chapbooks from small
that's Savannah
poetry.
Press,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
Small poetry presses. Anything
by David Miller.
By David Miller,
a member of the Bagel Bars.
Yeah, okay. And he's also a librarian. He's also a performance artist.
Curry College.
Yeah, really interesting guy. So anything small like that is local. And just because of logistics, anything that has too large of a spine goes into the larger collection.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a perfect bound collection usually.
If it,
If it's small,
so if it's a small, like your book,
Yeah,
like
it's
Doug
like a-
Holder's book, so a very, very small spine. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
So that would fit.
Okay.
Whereas something that has larger spine would go into the larger collection. So
Okay.
part of it is just about preservation. These things get lost easily.
Yeah.
So we have this way of preserving them.
How do you preserve
For
it?
sure. We have, I wish I had some right here. We have oversized archival Ziploc baggies, basically with backing boards. So you can take this home with you. Anything published after the year 2000, you're welcome to take home with a library card. And it's in this little kit, this little baggie, so you can drop it in your bag and it's not going to get damaged. Because these things, they have paper covers. They're a little more fragile than your average book.
So if someone was going to do some sort of scholarly paper on the small press in Somerville, I mean, it has quite a history. There's Dark Horse magazine, Aspect magazine,
Yeah.
all these things that were, published some great work. They could go to this archive and use
for
it.
sure.
I mean, it would be a very valuable resource, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're still building it. Right now we have about 175 items on the shelf, another 100 downstairs. In terms of poetry, probably about 20 on the shelf and about 30 downstairs in cataloging. So we're still building it up, and I really hope that your viewers will, if they have work, they'll consider getting in touch.
How would they
sure.
get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can get in touch by calling the main library and asking for Tim Devin, or emailing me at tdevin@minlib.net, which is kind of hard to spell. So maybe just give a call.
Okay.
For sure.
Now, what has changed since we last talked? When did we talk about this? I did an article in the Somerville Times for you, and you said by the time we do this in May, things have changed. I know you got more titles. Anything else? The changes that were in?
Yeah, so what we're starting to do is separate things out into categories. So when I spoke with you before, it was all just lumped together, alphabetical by title or by author, which was a little hard to use. Now we've separated out comics, local small press comics, and also local small press poetry. So when you go down there, there's little boxes, little magazine boxes that say poetry on them. And so if that's what you're into, that's what you look for.
Okay. All right. So different category.
Yeah.
And are people coming and visiting this library as far as you know?
Yeah, so I started keeping statistics and people
How
are
do you-
checking things out.
because people are checking things out.
Yeah. So if people use them in-house, I don't know, but if they check them out, I do.
And people have.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
really great. There was one title has circulated 5 or 6 times already, which since we've only had things on the shelf since January,
What title is
pretty
that?
good. It's a zine by Marissa Falco about creativity. So it's this transcription of a conversation she had with her friend about what inspires them to make art, what they get out of it, why they do it. It's actually a pretty interesting read. I think it would be interesting even for writers.
Right.
She's a visual
creativity
artist.
is across the board.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I want you to show the books,
For sure.
and read from them, and give us our viewers a taste of what
Sure.
it's like.
Absolutely. So maybe I'll start off with Gilmore Tamney, who I think you know.
I met her. Yes.
So Gilmore is a local musician, writer, artist, and so she was nice enough to donate some of her work. And what I like about Gilmore's stuff, I don't know if I can editorialize on your show.
Sure.
I like all of the stuff I'm going to read.
Yeah.
But what I like about Gilmore's stuff is they're haikus and they're sort of pithy little insights. So here's one. Love is fantastic. Let's say it explicitly before we chase it. Then there's a follow-up. Love is terrible. Let's say that explicitly before we chase it. So I like that little...
that dichotomy there.
Yeah, and so she...
I had her on this show.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
She's she's into rock and roll too.
Yeah. So she's she used to run a indie rock zine back in the 90s. And so ever since then, she's been self-publishing, and
I imagine
that's
she's
what's kind of
friends with
fun.
Pagan Kennedy.
She's friends with Pagan, and that's what's kind of fun is that a lot of these people involved just keep doing this. Like we were talking before the show about whether you actually make any money at small press publication, and clearly Doug makes millions of dollars,
right?
But the average person doesn't, and so it's kind of interesting to see. The people that are drawn to this kind of thing keep doing it for decades without.
Well, you have to understand. Also, I think it's real valuable in the sense that if you look at the history of small press, you have the mimeograph revolution with Allen Ginsberg, and they're putting out these little magazines, and a lot of these people got their start there. Also, I mean, someone, that's their first kind of publication, and little magazines and small presses. And small presses are today still essential. I mean, to get, people start small presses and hopefully they're picked up. Actually, the small presses will give you more attention to poetry, particularly because, they'll even do more promotion than a big press would because it's just not a big seller, So, that's something to say. But yeah. There's also, there's another place. There's people I interviewed called the Nix Mat. It's a new publication out of Alston, and they were in the same milieu of Pagan Kennedy around that time. They owned bookstores and things. The guy, why am I forgetting the name? But one is Annie Pluto, who teaches at Leslie, and another person. But I have some of their books, so maybe I'll.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to at least see them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, and
they're very small. Yeah,
it's kind of fun to see. You think of small press, and 80s and 90s kind of comes to mind, except for poetry.
Yeah.
But the fact is, the scene is really thriving. We have in the Boston area, there's three small press book fairs now. There's one just this past weekend, New Zealand.
There used to be a zine library in Harvard. Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still. It kind of made the rounds, and it's back in Harvard again.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's going on 10, 15 years now. I don't know. It's interesting to see this whole infrastructure.
But you can't access it, right?
No, you can walk right in. Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah, for sure.
Is it called?
Yeah, it's in the Democracy Center. It's called Papercut Zine Library.
No, I mean it doesn't have a catalog or anything like that.
They have. They're working on an actual catalog now. There's a bunch of library students involved, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's trying to be a legit community library that offers everything from library cards to lending privileges. So they're doing, really great work, all volunteer, to support this art form. And it's because they're passionate about it, and it's great. It's great.
Yeah. There's comic Mazur. Do you know him?
Dan Mazur. Yep.
Dan Mazur. His mother's a very noted poet, Gail Mazur.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Yeah. Okay. I was on a panel with him a while ago, but he puts out comic books.
He does. Yeah. I wish I'd brought some. We have some of them. So I mentioned earlier we also have comic books, right?
Yeah.
So Dan Mazur donated a bunch, and he's involved in the Boston Comics Roundtable. And they actually, one of their meeting spaces is in Somerville in the Taza building.
Mm-hmm. For chocolate? Taza chocolates?
Yeah, upstairs. It's like this artist loft space.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. And so they meet there every who knows how long. And they have this wonderful community, this supportive intergenerational comic scene where they cross-promote their work. And I don't know, it's kind of fun to see people support each other.
I interviewed the folks over at Davis Square, Kamikaze.
Oh yeah,
and in fact, one of the guys works at Endicott College too.
Oh, no kidding.
But really, they take this stuff seriously. It's a serious art form, and now it's in the movies. It's actually you make money off it, big money.
Sure.
And the other one, we have a shop in Union Square too.
Yeah, Hub Comics. Yeah, they've been really supportive of the library.
Have they sent you stuff?
No, but they're really helpful in finding stuff.
Okay.
I mean, it's a business, right? So that's.
Do you buy stuff at all? Do you go online and buy stuff?
Yeah. So I seek things out. I try to identify. I'm just getting started right now, so it's kind of like we need one of everything. But I try to parse it out. Dedicate some time to poetry. Dedicate some time to comics, to music. There's used to be a thriving sort of small music magazine scene in Somerville and Cambridge.
Remember Metronome? Is that still around? That was a good one. Yeah.
Okay, I should check that out. We got Pop Watch, which was based in Somerville in the 90s, and it became this. It started out as like a zine, like a zine, a piece of paper that's folded, and eventually it became a glossy magazine that was like international, and then it kind of faded out. But yeah, I mean, like that kind of goes to your point about how people get started. This is like a super accessible way to. I mean, it costs money to make this, right? And there's an art form to making this, but it can also be like a stepping stone to larger stuff for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So read some more.
Oh yeah. So let's see here. One thing. Oh, so Books of Hope. You mentioned.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you know the Books of Hope folks. So if you don't know Books of Hope, it's a Somerville, I think, nonprofit. I could be wrong.
It's connected with the Arts Council.
Yeah, it is. But
I remember
it's
I did
like its own thing,
workshop there over there
Really?
in the projects. I think.
Yeah, it's based out of the Mystic Learning Center.
Yeah.
And so for close to 20 years, they've been, facilitating these workshops for kids. I think their website says it's a creative outlet for young people in and around the Mystic Learning Center. So that's their vision.
Yeah,
right?
they make books. They go through the whole
really
process
wonderful,
and writings.
Professional books. It's really wonderful to see. And so you can also sell them too. So these kids have the experience of writing a book and then selling the book. And it's really wonderful stuff. So here's one by Andrine Persant. I'm going to slaughter that name. I'm really sorry. Even pears speak to me. And so here's an email. Here's a poem about, well, I'll just read it. It's called Delete. In my email account, those ads keep trying to tell me how to live my life. 10 ways to lose 15 pounds in 1 week. Tell me I gotta swallow pills to shed some pounds as if I want to lose this attractive package. Say that leggings are a girl's best friend and that I could get a sleek black pair for $8, as if my sweatpants aren't enough homey comrade for me. Like my behind needs to be on display in order for me to be attractive. Like popping pills is the only way that I'll ever be beautiful. Email don't care if I'm comfortable in my own skin. Email just wants me to buy stuff. Wants to trick me into thinking those things matter. And sometimes she almost succeeds. But I tell her off the best way I can. Let her know that no one's going to tell me that my baggy jeans aren't designer. Tell her if I don't love this body, I couldn't trade it in for a slim one, because I wake up and wonder why anyone wouldn't want this. And I thank God. So there's a swear in this.
That's fine. Wow, yeah.
So email ain't shit. Email don't know beauty. Email or anybody else not going to tell me what to do. I tell her swipe, delete.
Very nice.
So it's a
very nice poem.
Yeah, it's a really powerful stuff. And so they have so many of these titles, and it's a really wonderful program. I really recommend people check them out. So here's another one by Brianna Unique DeCillian, called Bold. And okay to read another one, or you want to move on to?
No, whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's good to have the young people.
I'm really floored by this stuff. I think more people should check it out. So here's one called Bold. Take a minute and just breathe. I will not be defined as a woman in need, because no man can love me the way that I love me. And no man can call me a bad bitch and try to tame me. I am living beauty, wild and free. And I'm tired of men constantly drowning me. I am powerful beyond compare. Calling me weak due to my gender is completely unfair. I can lift as many pounds as you. And I can do just about anything you do, times 2. I can carry any weight on my shoulders from a tiny pebble to a 1,000-pound boulder. I am bolder than you think. Do not be fooled because my lips are pink. I am a superhero beyond measure. Cook, clean, nurture, and pleasure. You try to take the throne because you're supposed to be king. But what's a king to a queen when she handles everything?
Nice.
So,
especially in the Me Too movement and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Woman empowerment. That's very important.
Yeah, I really love those.
Yeah.
And so we have a number of those. I'm looking to get more. So
did you ever think of having a reading of?
Yeah. I want to. So you have a million ideas and you only have so much time.
Yeah, right. Sure.
But yeah, so right now I'm trying to build up the collection, and then after a certain point I want to start having regular
reading
series
or
of events.
talk or
Yeah,
a series of talks and
Yeah,
things like
right
that.
on.
That's great. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and would love to have you
I'm
do
there.
something
Yeah.
if you want.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, like I really love what Doug does. I'm sure everybody knows what Doug does, but I have some of Ibbotson's stuff here.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about that. So
All right, because Cameron, I'm in touch with.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I read?
Yeah,
Cameron, Evening Watch by Cameron Mountain, who's now a professor down in New Jersey, but he was a big boy and worked at this high school, at Somerville High School, and now he moved on. He went to Emerson, but I'll take the one you selected and I'll read it. He was in the Coast Guards, I believe it was. So, dry dock sailor. I craft ship models out of cardstock and glue. My closets fill with disposable paper ships of every make. There are dreadnoughts, cruisers, and a submarine or two. There's an Intrepid, a Constellation, a Bonhomme, Richard, and even the Flying Dutchman. I stage elaborate battles in my dining room, ignoring ship errors, every model capable of modern warfare. I run home movies of waves crashing on ship forecastles. I pause and rewind pirate movies to play nautical battles and ad nauseum. Obsession with all things nautical, timepieces and decking, sextants and braided line, scimitars and sabers. Nice. I think that's why we published it.
Good. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So he was stationed on a ship in the first Iraq War, I think, and so it's his meditations about where he's at and his life back home. And what I liked about that one is it's that one kind of ties in. I think there's actually another page to that one. Anyway, so that one kind of ties back in both, where he's at right now with what he's doing, and then like his childhood playing with toys. I thought that was a really nice one. And so we also have.
Well, let's go, instead of Ibbotson on.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
Okay.
Let's go some of the other
for
stuff.
Sure. So a bunch of Ibbotson stuff. You should check it out. So Somerville has a number of other small press poetry publishing companies.
Can you name some of them?
Yeah, there's Cervana.
Barber Press with Gloria Mendock,
Yeah. And Caddy Wumpus, which is right on the line between Cambridge and Somerville. And so Deborah,
Square type of thing.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So Deborah Schwartz was nice enough to donate this. And so just a beautiful book. We were talking earlier about publishing techniques before the show. And I really love just the quality of this book. Thick cardstock cover. It's got this nice black interior page, and then it kind of sets the scene for the pages. And so, people who are self-publishing, they take. Some people take great pride in like the quality of the actual physical item.
The paper.
It seems like like Caddy Wumpus really has that in. Really does.
And what's
that.
Deborah's background? Do you know anything about?
Deborah she was involved in what was that called? Jack Powers'
Stone Soup Poetry.
Stone Soup Poetry.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, and Jack was very much into publishing books.
Yeah.
Yeah, still in. A guy named Chad Parento runs it.
Oh,
now.
they still do
yeah.
it? Oh,
yeah.
cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
And
her name again is
is Deborah Schwartz.
Okay.
So again on Caddy Wumpus Press. Dear Traveler, aquamarine and pink aquarium fish swim in a bowl. Why do you always scream at me? It's not nice. At night you come up into my bedroom as someone else's idea of wind. You threaten to shatter the porcelain tchotchkes. Whoa, I told you once, I'll tell you again, the circus is not for us. Still, as I take off into viridian night, you jump into my mouth to settle in my throat. You tell me the night hit you on the head a bunch of times, leaving the iron ore of the bully house. Then you, with your night imprinted on yourself, tell me calmly that you are coming with me. O angry traveler, dark night provides the dark gold way. With all the babbling sounds around us, you are a spastic airborne fern. I give you credit for that translucent golden sheath you built around us. Thank you. I give you credit for being a hatching doll inside of me, with Night the littlest baby of them all. So,
have you ever
speaking
met
of-
Miss Schwartz?
I think that if she is part of that scene, I did. I used to go to those back when Jack was
Jack was running it. Yeah.
around. He passed away,
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah, he
A little
passed
while
away
ago.
about 10 years ago.
Oh, did he? Oh,
yeah.
geez. But yeah, I think that really wonderful stuff. So speaking of like publishing and the beauty of the physical object, I also got from Anna Warwick, who's a Somerville poet.
She was on the show too. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So she's involved in a collective in, I'm trying to find it, Slate Roof Press, which is somewhere in Western Mass.
Right.
So I was trying to find that. And they just do absolutely beautiful stuff. So I don't know if you can see this. It's got a dust jacket, pink cover, really thick quality pages. Here's another one of theirs, sort of similar, this great like speckled paper, hand or sewn binding. Maybe I'll read this.
Okay.
So this is by Catherine Stearns, and actually, I'm sorry, I don't have any like background information on her. I thought I did, but this is from the book called Then and Again.
Okay.
Out on Slate Roof Press. Skinny after chemo and wearing my kimono is the title.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a heavy poem. She's cooking in my dreams again. The way she works the dough, first roughly, as if to destroy it, then smoothly, hand surfing the air as she needs. For years I thought I had crossed her, once and for all, like a river, but here she is, stirring things up. Beans, new potatoes, thyme. She stands by the stove as if to slake my hunger and know what children always think their parents know. Saying again what she'd said in her labyrinthine dying. Never mind. Never mind. But the body winged now in my kimono, serving up fish with a slice of lemon? No gods required to roll the lemon gently,